I don't give a damn what he did, who he I know he up, but when it come to talent, we cannot take this away from R. Kelly.
That's Boosie defending Kels with the volume turned all the way up, and somewhere across the country, The Game is at a birthday party yelling "Free the freaky homies" into a live microphone while murder plot motions, prison phone recordings, and viral release keep dragging 10 different rappers into picking a side they cannot take back. Boosie Badazz. Boosie is the loudest voice in the room and has been since day one. When the New York federal court dropped 30 years on Kels in June 2022, Boosie hit Twitter and called it a death sentence. He didn't deny what Kels did, he just said 30 years is what you give a killer. He wrote that college professors get probation for similar charges. He blamed the parents. He said they knew and let it happen. He said Kels should serve time, but not a death sentence. Then he asked for a resentencing. 2 years later, Boosie was still locked in. He said the only reason Kels got crushed by that number is that Kels is black and rich.
I just feel like he was over sentenced, man. You know, when it come to, and because he's black with money.
Boosie listed examples off the top. He named white folks who confessed and got months on probation. He named killers who got 10 years and went home. Then he pointed at Kels and asked the camera how this math made sense. He kept building. He brought up parents again. He said the moms knew what was happening. He said if the parents let it happen, the parents should sit in a courtroom too. That part lands different in 2026 with headlines on the same page. Then he went to talent. Boosie said Kels would smoke Michael Jackson, smoke Prince, smoke Stevie Wonder. He said it on multiple podcasts. He stood by it every time.
I don't give a damn what he did, who he I know he up, but when it come to talent, we cannot take this away from R. Kelly.
That sentence is the whole Boosie thesis. Separate the man from the catalog. Pay the time. Keep the crown. By 2024 and into 2026, Boosie shifted lanes again. He said the inmates with Kels are blessed. He said he would give Kels all his commissary soups just for one verse. He even claimed they cooked up music together through prison calls. Survivor advocates lit him up. They said he was minimizing trafficking. They said the parent blame was textbook victim shifting. Boosie didn't flinch. He doubled down in every interview. He framed every drag as proof he's right. That's the Boosie blueprint. Kanye West, yay. Kanye and Kels are both Chicago. They worked on To The World together back in 2013, so when Ye drops a take on Kels, it isn't a stranger talking, it's a collaborator. In April 2025, Ye posted "Free R. Kelly" on social media after a viral clip of Kels singing "Happy Birthday" over the prison phone. He added that Kels still has that Chicago spirit. He said they didn't break him. That post didn't sit quiet. It moved fast. Every R. Kelly clip on YouTube in 2025 started using it. Every commentator referenced it. You knew exactly what he was doing. He doubled down in his own music. On his 2024 Vultures album, Ye rapped that he's Ye Kelly. He chained himself to Bill Cosby in the same bar. He's stitching his name to convicted men on purpose. That's not a slip, that's strategy. Then in early 2026, a podcast clip went viral. He was sitting with friends and listing himself next to R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, and Jesus, all on the same list. The host could barely keep up.
Well, Kanye West compares himself to R. Kelly, Billy.
What's wrong with you?
Bill Cosby, Jesus, and mentions, okay.
The room tried to dissect it. They said Cosby got his conviction overturned. R. Kelly didn't, and Jesus is Jesus. Ye still put them all on his list anyway. His argument is that all four men were persecuted. He uses that word on purpose. Persecution implies innocence. Persecution implies wrongful punishment. So when Ye says it, he's saying Kels didn't deserve what he got. That position rolls right past survivors, right past 2 federal convictions, right past video evidence. He doesn't go near that part of the case. He stays on the persecution frame because that's the frame he uses for himself too. The backlash hit hard. Advocates dragged him. Fans called him reckless. Black women writers spent thousands of words explaining what his "Free R. Kelly" post meant to victims. Ye didn't take it down. He didn't apologize. He kept it moving. That's the new template. Conviction is one thing, public opinion is another. He knows how to bend the second one with one tweet, and when one of the biggest names in music starts shouting "free a convicted trafficker," the conversation tilts. That's why his post matters even when his logic doesn't. The Game. The Game made himself the centerpiece of this entire conversation in one drunk birthday rant. December 1st, 2025, his 46th birthday party in Hollywood. Kels's bump and grind blasting through the speakers. The Game grabbed the mic and went full chaos mode. He said, "Free Kels, free all the freaky homies, some baby oil and some PP. Free the guys." That's not an unnamed source. That's not a paraphrase. That's a verified quote from a major rapper at a real party caught on camera. TMZ ran it. YouTube ran it. Twitter went off for days. The baby oil line was him pulling into the joke. The PP line was the Kels slot. He hit both convicted boxes in one breath. Then he doubled down. He said it was his birthday. He said he didn't see anything wrong with freeing the guys. He said it like the law was a suggestion. When TMZ caught up with him later, the game tried to clean it up. He told them the alcohol was talking. He called it strange fruit. He didn't apologize. He didn't take it back. He blamed the bottle and kept moving, but the damage was done. The clip became one of the most replayed moments in the whole 2025 to 2026 R. Kelly news cycle. Every YouTube channel covering the case used it. Every commentator referenced it. It became the loudest argument for release without a single line of legal reasoning behind it. That's the danger of celebrity moments in 2025. One drunk birthday rant becomes a position. Younger fans who barely remember the trials watch the game shouting "Free Kels" and start asking what the big deal is. The pushback was sharp. Survivor advocates said he was trivializing trafficking. They said the PP joke was disgusting. They said using victims as punchlines is its own kind of harm. They weren't wrong. But part of the rap world ate it up. Loved the recklessness. Loved that he said what other rappers only think. Loved that he refused to be careful. The game has built his whole career on saying things other rappers won't. He's beefed with everybody. So this birthday rant fits the pattern. Here's the bigger picture. The game wasn't talking to a courtroom. He wasn't talking to a parole board. He was talking to a generation that gets its court rulings from TikTok. And in that court, his rant counted as a verdict. That's why this moment matters more than any actual legal filing in 2025. The game's rant moved the culture more than the judge moved the docket. 50 Cent. 50 Cent treats this whole situation like comedy hour. He never advocates. He never condemns. He just trolls. The setup is perfect for him. Kels is somehow making music from federal prison. Phone calls, snippets, hummed melodies. Producers leak the audio. Every time a new clip drops, 50 Cent is in the comments laughing. In 2024, a clip dropped of Kels singing Bump and Grind in prison attire. Still smooth, still hitting notes. 50 reposted it on Instagram with a one-liner. He typed, "Damn man, that boy can sing. The fuck you think Puffy gonna be doing in there?" That sentence does a lot of work. It calls Kels talented. It mocks. It questions how prison recording is even possible, all in one breath. That post and others like it kept circulating through 2025 and 2026 as more prison music leaked. That's the 50 Cent method. Short, petty, effective. He's been doing this trolling routine for over 20 years. He turned power into an empire while throwing jabs every morning. So when Kels enters his orbit, 50 doesn't waste it. He's posted about Kels multiple times. Every time, the angle is the same. The music is good. The situation is wild. Is probably next. Move on. He hasn't asked for Kelly's release. He hasn't gone full Boosie. He hasn't compared himself to Jesus like, yeah. He just sits back and lets the chaos do the work for him. Back in 2018, when Spotify pulled R. Kelly off their curated playlists during the Mute R. Kelly wave, 50 actually pushed back. He didn't think a streaming service should be the judge. That was before the convictions, though. After the trials, he kept his comments locked into trolling mode. There were also social media rumors in 2025 that 50 had visited Kels in prison. Those reports never had real proof behind them. The flagged version is in the references at the end. 50 Cent's actual position is harder to pin down because he refuses to take one. He doesn't say "Free Kels." He doesn't say "Lock him up forever." He says, "Man, that boy can sing," and moves on to the next post. Some fans love that energy, some hate it. Survivor advocates argue that trolling is its own form of harm. They say treating a convicted predator like a meme stunts accountability. They say every laugh at a prison Kels clip is a laugh past the victims. 50 doesn't engage. He has built a career on caring less than everybody else. The R. Kelly situation is just one more place he gets to do that loud. Fat Joe. Fat Joe and R. Kelly made a hit together in 2001. The song was "We Thuggin'," and the backstory still gets told 25 years later.
My favorite Fat Joe shit is "We Thuggin'." That's my favorite shit, man.
Joe tells this story on every podcast he steps on. He told it again on his show with Jadakiss. He told it on 85 South. He tells it because it shaped his whole career.
Pun had passed away. Man, I never met R. Kelly. At the time, R. Kelly's a god.
Pun had just died. Joe was in mourning. He walked into an All-Star Weekend game and Kels spotted him from across the room, like they had known each other for years. That's how the record started. Joe drove 20 hours to Orlando because Ron G gave him a beat he knew was a hit. He gets there, plays the rough cut for Kels. Kels says it's fire. Then Kels says he can't record. His teeth hurt. Now flash forward to January 2026. Joe is on his podcast with Jadakiss and Detroit's 42 Doug. The question on the table is simple. If R. Kelly walked out of federal prison tomorrow, would he sell out a tour? Joe sang Kel's snippets live on the pod. He acknowledged the catalog. He said the talent is undeniable. He didn't deny the convictions, he just asked the business question. Could Kel still fill an arena in 2026? Jadakiss weighed in. He picks his words carefully. He talked about legacy, about fans separating the art from the artist, about the size of the demand if the music came back. 42 Doug brought a different angle. He's a generation removed from peak R. Kelly, so his view was more about the streaming era, about what's left of Kels on playlists today. That's the same conversation happening in barbershops, in group chats, in studios across the country. Joe, Jadakiss, and Doug just had it on a microphone with thousands of people listening. And because Joe actually worked with Kels, his voice carries weight in that debate. Joe didn't say free Kels. He didn't say lock him deeper. He asked a question the industry has been ducking for 5 years. Could the man still sell tickets? The answer wasn't clean. The conversation was Benzino. Benzino doesn't have any R. Kelly collabs. He doesn't have a personal Kel story. He's just a longtime industry voice with opinions. And in April 2024, he had plenty. On the We in Miami podcast, Benzino said R. Kelly doesn't deserve to rot in prison for 30 years. He said everybody deserves a second chance. He said the parents knew what they were dealing with. That's the Benzino position in 3 sentences, a hard pivot to the parents. He also pointed out Kelly's own childhood. Kels has talked publicly about being molested as a kid. Benzino said that should have factored into the sentencing math, the trauma cycle argument. Then he stepped into the murkiest water. He questioned how the age of consent gets applied to high-profile black men. He didn't deny the laws Kels broke. He just asked whether the rule book gets used evenly across every defendant. Most people watching the clip didn't hear that nuance. They heard victim blaming. And that's a fair read. Because when you put parents and childhood trauma on the table before you put victims, you've already chosen the spotlight. The backlash came from inside the house. Coi Leray, his own daughter, publicly distanced herself from the comments. She said she wanted nothing to do with it. That's a daughter watching her father defend a convicted child predator and saying not in my name. That cost. Benzino and Coi have had a strained relationship for years. The R. Kelly clip didn't help. If anything, it pushed them further apart. That's a personal price Benzino paid for that podcast appearance. He stood by his comments anyway. He doubled down in follow-up interviews. He kept saying everyone deserves redemption. He kept blaming parents. Now the systemic argument behind his stance has some real-world weight. Black men do sometimes get sentenced longer for similar crimes. Wealthy white men do sometimes get probation in cases that look comparable on paper. That part is documented. That part is true. But Benzino picked the wrong case to test that point with. R. Kelly's conviction wasn't a one-off encounter. It was a decades-long pattern. Federal RICO, sex trafficking, multiple victims who were minors at the time. That's not a sentencing disparity test case. That's a pattern of predatory behavior with paper trails and tapes. By making Kels the example, Benzino tangled a real systemic conversation with a man whose specific crimes are hard to defend. He learned the hard way that you can't run both arguments at the same time without losing the room, and his own daughter became Exhibit A for that lesson. Cardi B. Cardi B never made a song with Kels, but she grew up on him. She has said it in interviews. She has said it on Instagram. She has said it on podcasts going back years. Her position is consistent. She misses the music. She would be elated if he came home. She still plays the catalog. She doesn't relitigate the trial. That position is more common than people admit. A lot of fans, especially black women in their 30s, grew up on Kels. He soundtracked their proms, their first relationships, their family barbecues. So when the news broke, it hit personally for that whole generation. Cardi speaks to that mix. She doesn't deny Kels did wrong. She doesn't argue with court records. She doesn't claim he's innocent. She just says she misses the songs. That's a fan confession, not a legal opinion. There are also some unverified claims floating around in 2025 and 2026 that Cardi visited Kels in prison. The posts described a hands-through-glass photo. Those reports moved fast on social media but never got real confirmation. The flagged version is in the references. What is confirmed is what she has said in public. She thinks about him. She would be happy if he were released. The music is still in her rotation. That puts her in a different category from Boosie. She isn't defending the crimes. She isn't blaming parents. She isn't comparing anybody to Jesus. She's doing what a lot of fans do quietly, holding on to the songs while the news cycle does its work. That's also why her comments draw heat. Survivor advocates say that's exactly the problem. When a famous fan publicly misses a convicted predator's catalog, it tells victims their stories are background noise to the streaming numbers. Cardi doesn't engage with that critique in depth. She repeats the same line. The talent is undeniable. The music is part of her life. She would be happy if he came home. She gets credit for one thing. She doesn't try to argue convictions away. She doesn't post legal theories. She doesn't blame the parents. She doesn't say lock him up forever either. She just makes a fan's confession out loud. That's the part Cardi's comments don't address. The economic afterlife of a conviction. The way a famous fan endorsement can keep a predator's brand profitable for decades, she might not be ready to have that conversation in public yet. A lot of fans aren't. Akon. Akon worked with R. Kelly. He made music with him. He shared a stage with him at Akon's commercial peak. So when the New York federal conviction landed in September 2021, TMZ caught up with Akon and he didn't dodge.
And everyone has the right to redeem themselves from those mistakes. Like even him, he has the right to try to make right by those he hurt.
That's a full Akon argument in one breath. Redemption is available to everybody, even him. The people he hurt get to choose what redemption looks like.
And then the people that he hurt also have the right to decide if they want to forgive him.
He kept going. That clip does important work. Akon is leaving the choice with survivors. He's not telling them what to do. He's not saying they have to forgive anybody. He's saying they get the final say. That's more careful than Boosie, more careful than Ye, more careful than the game. Then he shares his personal take. He believes that not forgiving puts the unforgiver in more pain. He frames forgiveness as a release for the person doing the forgiving, not as a free pass for the person being forgiven. That's an actual argument. That's not free the freaky homies. That's not blame the parents. That's a position rooted in spiritual thinking. Whether you agree or not, it's a complete idea. He ends on the line that loops everybody back into the bigger debate. That's where Akon, Boosie, Ye, Cardi, and even Joe all converge. The talent is undeniable. 2 federal convictions can't take it from the catalog. That refrain runs underneath the whole hip-hop conversation about R. Kelly. Akon got dragged for the redemption comments. Critics said it was tone deaf. They said he was glossing over decades of abuse with religious framing. They said victims don't need spiritual lessons from another famous man. Akon didn't take the comments back. He didn't issue an apology tour. He believed what he said. He still does. Out of everybody on this list, Akon's framing might be the most consistent with how he's always operated. He's a religious man, a businessman, a diplomat-style figure across hip-hop and R&B. The redemption frame fits his brand. Whether it fits the actual case is a different question. Redemption usually implies acknowledgement of wrong. Kels has not done that publicly. His legal strategy is still appeal, not apology. So Akon is offering a path the man himself isn't walking. That's the gap inside his argument. It's a generous frame for a defendant who hasn't earned it yet. 21 Savage. In December 2025, he dropped What Happened to the Streets. The final track on the album sampled R. Kelly's I Wish from 2000. The Kels chorus was flipped to honor fallen rappers. Young Dolph, Takeoff, names the culture is still mourning. The sample dropped in the middle of the public firestorm around Kelly's prison music situation. Fans noticed immediately. Critics noticed faster. Every album review comment section had the same complaint. Why use a Kels sample in 2025 when Kels is locked up for trafficking? 21 Savage gave no answer. No tweet, no Instagram post, no podcast clip, no defense, no apology. The sample stayed on the album. The album kept streaming. He kept it pushing. Sampling Kels in 2025 is a choice. It isn't just hitting play on a beat, it's licensing. It's clearance. It's paperwork. Whoever signed off knew the songwriter is in federal prison serving 30 years. That decision passed through lawyers and labels. So 21 made it anyway. The math behind the silence is interesting. He could have addressed it. He could have explained the tribute. He could have said the sample honors Dolph and Takeoff, not Kelly. That might have softened the backlash. But he didn't. Maybe that's strategy. The longer he doesn't comment, the less the sample becomes the story. New singles drop. New beefs pop up. The internet moves on. There's also a chance he just doesn't care about the discourse. 21 has built a brand on being unbothered. He doesn't perform for the comment section. He doesn't apologize for art choices. He drops what he drops and lets the chips fall where they fall. What this tells you about 21 Savage's relationship to the R. Kelly question is simple. He doesn't have one publicly. He has a sample. That's it. Whether the silence is principle, strategy, or pure indifference, only he knows, and he isn't telling. Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper is the only person on this list who said the hardest thing out loud. He apologized. He had collaborated with Kels on Somewhere in Paradise in 2015. 2 Chicago artists, one legend, one rising star. The song happened, the video happened. Then the January 2019 Surviving R. Kelly documentary aired, and the world had to look directly at what had been an open secret for decades. Chance sat for an interview during that wave. He talked about it on camera, and his words still echo in 2026.
R. Kelly are from Chicago, and you know, R. Kelly is a world icon, but definitely a Chicago legend.
He set the stage like a Chicago native would. Kels isn't just a singer in that city. He's a piece of the place. Kindergarten graduations played his songs, step-in music, gospel, wedding playlists. He was the soundtrack of growing up, but Chance didn't stop at the praise.
Making a song with R. Kelly was a mistake.
That's not a hedge. That's not a maybe. That's a Chicago artist telling other Chicago artists they should have listened sooner. He said it on camera. He said it without a publicist softening it. Then he made the deeper admission, the harder one, the one most people on this whole list have never made.
Maybe I didn't care because I didn't value the accusers' stories, like, because they were black women.
That's it. That's the line. Chance didn't blame parents, didn't blame the system, didn't blame the media. He blamed his own bias. He admitted he didn't take black women's stories seriously enough. He went further. He tied it to a pattern in media. He said the high-profile celebrity stories that get believed usually involve light-skinned women or white women. He said R. Kelly's accusers didn't fit that picture, so they got ignored, including by him. That's an indictment of the whole industry, not just one man, not just one case. The whole conversation about who gets believed and why. After the documentary, Chance went on Twitter and apologized to survivors directly. He said he was sorry for working with Kels. He said he was sorry for taking so long to speak out. He said he understood his collaboration helped extend Kelly's brand and his reach. That apology cost him nothing in his career. He's still touring, he's still making music, but it cost him something in pride. Public apology is rare in hip-hop, especially from a successful artist with a clean image. Chance set a template that almost nobody else on this list followed. He could have said separate the art from the artist. He could have stayed silent. He could have made excuses about Chicago loyalty. He didn't. Instead, he made the conversation about black women being heard. That choice still matters in 2026 as new clips of Kel singing leak from prison and rappers line up to say free him. Chance's voice in 2019 anticipated the noise of 2026, and his answer to it was simple: believe black women, even when the predator is your hometown icon. What are your thoughts on these rappers' thoughts on Kelly? Share in the comments and click on the cards on screen for more.